guys? It's Tartan coming at you with another game of Diablo 2. Resurrected. That's a Warlock. There are Warlocks now, and I'm a Warlock. This is not a dream. Feels like one. Although I am unfortunately wide awake in the underwhelming world of the living while here. Look, we got a little goat man. We, cool thing about the Warlock is everything. First of all, they exist. Huh. Immediate level 2. So the cool thing about the Warlock is they can use... Oh, we still have all of our poison things. Good morning, Kiara. You say you fell asleep last night. Well, that's good. You were sick. It is, you know, it's wonderful. We just played through Act 1. There's 5 acts. How the structure of D2 works is there are 5 acts and 3 difficulty settings, and then a little bit of post-game besides that. So basically, you know, you play through Act 1 through 5, and then after that you can turn it up to Nightmare from normal, and then from Nightmare to Hell difficulty. And each time, you know, it's the same units, the same bosses, but they make them a little different, you know, like any other difficulty spiking, like New Game Plus sort of thing, which is the closest comparable, like, broad concept is like rather than 3 difficulty levels, it's more like, you know, I mean, they are difficulty levels, but this game looks like it wasn't made. Yeah, so this is a remaster from 2021 called Diablo 2 Resurrected, which I probably should be reflecting in the title with like an R or something, but it's a lot of words. But yes, there. Real quick, I'm like, after we finish this, there's not a 1-button press anymore, but you, in the regular game, you could hit a button and go back to the old style of graphics and really see how far we've come. It says description. Well, that's good. But no, it does not look like that because it wasn't. And it when you see what the game does look like, you'll be like, wow. And I just want to say, before we look at it, which we'll do here in a second once we finish this zone, because otherwise, you know, like, the maps are procedurally generated, but they change every time you enter into a new world, right? So you don't want to get almost to your objective and then leave the world, because then you got to do all that again, which is fine, you know. You get experience. And drops, and the love of the game. We should be finding the big bad here soon. He drops a skill book, which is crazy. It's very nice. Or we're going the wrong... Yeah, here we go. Level 3. Now, there is a checkpoint in level 2. We're just going to skip it, though. We probably won't die here, right? We're just gonna bolt down this hallway. Beautiful stuff. Save off today until next Wednesday. Oh, well, that's good at least. Well, you know, I mean, give you time to recover. I am happy to play a little bit right now, and then, you know, it's off to work. It is going to be a miserably busy weekend for me, but that's okay. That's why we train, right? And by train, I mean go to work. But tomorrow is Valentine's Day, the second worst day of the year. It's like your parents from Vermont. Oh no, and you can't even like turn up the music too loud because it would hurt your head. The worst day of the year is Mother's Day. Just for professional purposes, right? Not for like any antipathy towards the day itself. I try to treat all days the same, and if I had my preference, I would. But you know, some days I have to go to work. Obviously, days where I don't have to go to work are cooler than that. But you know, I've probably related this before, but I don't like holidays and stuff. I don't like being expected to feel a particular way ever. And I don't like feeling like I've disappointed people by not feeling a particular way. So, in general, I dislike all holidays if they come with expectations, right? All holidays don't, but they tend to. The only holidays I really liked were like holidays of like cultures not my own, right? Like from people I knew that were from different countries or whose parents were or whatever. Because there, it's like a bunch of cool new information and no one expects you to know what to do, so you get to just like stand around and you get to have, you know, like a fun time doing something different where nobody thinks that you're going to do something specific. Plus, it's an avenue where my penchant for asking lots of questions will be picked up with fondness by at least somebody there. Like, plenty of people are happy to go around the world not knowing what's going on places, but me, I'll just start bugging anyone who looks like they know, which is probably super annoying, but it's also how come I know so many things. Oh, yeah. Well, I do hate my birthday. I wasn't going to bring that up. Obviously, my birthday is the worst day of the year, actually. I wasn't trying to think about my birthday, not on my birthday, though. Yeah, the birthday's the worst. That's not like a holiday, obviously. Sometimes people will like ask me what I want, and then I will start explaining to them that what I want is for them to never bring it up again, and that if they do bring it up on the day thereof, I will just walk away from them no matter what I'm doing. So they better hope it's not saving their life. No, couldn't possibly dislike it more. We're gonna go back to town. I'm like, no, we don't need to do that. I was like, for stamina potions, I mean, it would be nice, but we've taken every wrong turn. He's got to be here. The zone's just not much bigger than this. Mother's Day is the worst day for professional purposes. So I work in a restaurant, and specifically the kind of restaurant that is conducive to bringing very large groups of people together. So, Mother's Day and... Sorry, I gotta try not to die here. Oh, my summon. My beautiful goatman. And my other dude. Alright, we're bailing to town real quick. So they're just very busy, and they tend to have really large, like, party sizes, which you wouldn't think would matter, but it does. So, like, if there's like 14 tickets in there, and they're all like 28, you know, they're all two tops, so it's like 28 people. Well, you know, to get ready, you can push it. The whole window can go, you know, you can go a lot faster. But if you have a whole lot of really big tables, you can't start staging them in the windows. There's not enough room. You can't start dropping certain things. You gotta, like, everything just takes forever. And that's why Mother's Day is worse than Valentine's Day. It's also slightly busier. But, you know, there's other reasons why it's bad, too. Mainly coworker related. Because this will surprise you, but not everybody that I work with is like me and basically perfect in every way except for their emotions. A lot of people are lazy and have bad emotional control, which couldn't be me, you know. I've always been taught since I was a kid that if I worked really hard, people would not care what I was like. And it's true. Alright, who sells a stam potion here? What's going on? You ask, like, broadly about finances? Well, I mean, broadly, I am totally fine. You know, I have a roommate. I live with my brother. And you know, I have a very good computer, but you know, I live what I would consider within my means, right? I can count the amount of times I went to, like, a restaurant last year to not work on one hand. It was probably 2. I don't get fast food, you know, I don't get delivery anything. I'm wearing the same coat that I've worn for like 6 years, and the one before that, like, I got that one as a gift. Almost everything I wear that isn't for work, people give me. You know, like, all my socks I got for Christmas. You know, I live cheap. I believe in it. I think it is a good thing for a poor person to try to do. Alright. We're going to get this Enraged Sigil because that is the most interesting thing. Because if we can make enemies start punching each other, and it looks like we can. I think we're going to drop that throwing knife thing. I mean, we could still put it on the other... No, it's not really... Yeah. Yeah, I wore the same coat, like, basically exclusively for a super long time. I loved that coat. I still have it, like, in the closet. It got too many holes in it to wear. It was this leather jacket that I bought with, like, my first paycheck from my first real job. And I look very tough in it, you know. I could lean up against a brick wall after a punk rock show and cut quite a fine figure. At least that's what I thought. He tries to hit me with the poison. It doesn't work. I'm too quick for him. We need to go to a magic weapon that lets us hit better. I think the Goatman is crazy poison resistant because Radaman's poison is actually pretty powerful, and we get away with it. Beautiful stuff. Book of Skill, yeah, baby. Okay, so this is... I mean, that's actually pretty nice. That lasted a good long while. Little slow chain. You've got a Heraldric Scroll. You have quite a treasure there in that Heraldric Cube. I'm just anticipating what Decker Kane's gonna say.
The lost Heraldric Scroll.
No, I don't have the cube yet. But he will eventually tell me, you have quite a treasure there in that Heraldric Cube, and I'll be like, I know, right? Oh yeah, Atma for a reward. They say the taste of vengeance is bittersweet, but I find it to my liking. And you might think, did you have time to read that? Yes, I did have time to read that, and also, I know what she says. We have got cats and scarabs for the roll. That is awful. My goodness. So each zone can have, you know, like certain amounts of enemies. You know, they have a range they can get. They don't all have to have the worst things. This outside zone, though, so the scarabs emit lightning bolts when you hit them, as you see, which is very annoying because they're very difficult to run away from. And if you're like a melee character, it's just devilishly difficult to get it done. We're gonna... Man, Fuzzle got smashed. We're gonna run out of money keeping him alive. But basically, a couple of very high damage folk. Act 2 is pretty annoying because it is pretty far from the town portal spot to resurrect your guy. But we're here at the Rocky Waste, so we're gonna go down into the Stony Tomb for fun, for power, for Burning Dead Mage to be struck. Oh, it's awesome! It's amazing. This is such a cool class. So we can just drop a everybody fights everybody thing. Is my man getting popped again? No, Fuzzle, no! Fuzzle dies again. We need to get that man some armor or something. I don't know what's going on. I think we probably don't have any armor on him at all. Also, I don't know the hotkey to feed the Merc a potion from my controller, and there may not be one. You're sorry for the length of the root beer quest? No, don't apologize. That's ridiculous. Sometimes it takes a little longer to get a root beer than you think. What kind of root beer? Corollary, what kind of root beer is best? We're just gonna grab this scale mail for him. Oh, we can't go to his tree because he's dead. Mug. Technically root beer. No, I don't wanna insult a kind of root beer that I'm sure other people find adequate. Alright, we need a weapon for him. You want to make sure it's not one that requires the dex, like the spedums and stuff. Those are quite bad. If we had sockets, that would be good. But anything is good. Big weapon range, 821. Yeah, we'll just get him a scythe. We know those work because I have used one of those on my guys in the past. The scythe is what I have for my. I'm bragging a bit again for my insight rune word. Like my favorite like regular root beer that you can just like buy in the store is IBC. Like that's the one that like, you know, it comes in glass bottles and all. It's not like super ritzy. You can buy it at Walmart, but that's the one that I think is like the best root beer you can just buy at places. The best root beer that I've had is made by a restaurant, brewery, and punk rock venue called Vino's in Little Rock, Arkansas. They make it in-house, but of course it is difficult to come by if you don't live around here. Goatman comes up. We're in. In trouble. Goatman lives again. These Burning Dead mages. So the thing about wizards is they do decent damage. And if there's that many of them, then they all get to hit you. But we get through it with only losing the summon a couple of times. Involved for IBC. Nice, nice. Yeah, like IBC, that was what, I don't call it that, but like it was Lake Root Beer. Like we only had IBC for like very special occasions, almost never at home. It was more like when we went on vacation, which was to the lake. You know, we would go and camp at what we called the lake, which everyone around here calls the lake. If you say the lake, people know what you mean. It's not really that close to where we live, but it's the only good lake around, and called Greer's Ferry Lake, this artificial lake. And they drowned a town called Greer's Ferry, which is why the lake is called that. Anyway, I digress. But, you know, you would, you know, there'd be a couple packs of IBC bought through the time, you know, and you'd, you know, get one the day we went there and one in the middle, and then, you know, like one the day we were leaving type of thing. A real treat. We are poisoned, poison stun. Yeah, alright. Left trigger and belt. That's how we feed it to him. I remember now. I'm like, no, now that I'm saying I don't remember the hotkey, I'm gonna just try to remember the hotkey. That guy has mana burn. We just need to stay away. We've got, you know, the Sigil of Pain active. Hooray! We win. Might not have looked like winning, but it was. Oh, it's ethereal. Gross. I mean, theoretically, it could be self-repairing. It isn't, though. Although the two-handed sword is a lot better than this axe is, it still ends up worse due to the sockets. We'll need to replace the weapon before too long, though. Stuart's. I don't know if I've had that one.
I can't do that here. Good day.
It is an honor to serve you.
We're going to take this Frost Charm for frost damage on it. It is a Grand Charm, which is so bad to carry around, but you do what you got to do, right? You do. Does she have any weapons with socks? Big ol'... Like, first we need to test if it's just, like, two-handed everything. Like, you know, I bet it is. Do we get the Tangerine Volge of Fire? Yeah, let's... Of course I can. Can I dual wield? No. And now we're gonna hit people with our floating Bartiche. Well, this one's a Volge. Yeah. Very different polearm. One of the things that I love about playing like fantasy video games is how it gives people that like maybe don't know a billion words access to a bunch of words that most people don't know at all. Like you could just like when The Revenant came out, like my friend was like, "Oh, it's like a zombie movie." I'm like, "No, but excellent that you immediately remembered that Revenant is the name of a mob that's a morph of a zombie." Not to condescend. He's a guy that often comes to me for the word that he wants. Which is, of course, as you may imagine, one of my specialties. Like, oh, you don't know the word? Fortunately, I can help. Describe it briefly. When's the last time you saw this word? You know, what this game always needed was a frenzy button. And being able to enrage the foe from a distance and make them fight each other, man. This character would be so fun to play alongside, right? Just imagine you have a friend and he's like a nice person, so all he does is run around and cast that, and then you get to like shoot him with your Amazon. Like, that's pretty nice. Because the thing about it is, they don't need to do damage if they get distracted by virtue of being in there and enraged. I think they don't keep the enraged, they're only enraged while they're in it, but still, you know. Pretty good. Got a level, need to distribute that soon. Hello, Thomas. Why is there a floating spear? Well, you see, Thomas, after 25 years, a new class is in the game. We're a Warlock, so we have little goat demon guy, and we can cast little fireballs and little sad magic chains that slow people. And so most characters, you know, this is like a two-handed weapon in one hand, and then we have like a book that lets us block attacks and gives us special things, and that's like one of this character's special abilities, which I didn't know, because this character came out, you know, in this calendar month, which I still can't believe it. Diablo 2, I think the first one came out in like 94 or 5, anyway, but Diablo 2 I think came out in 98, and Diablo 2 Resurrected, which was their first and only expansion for the game. No, Resurrected's the remaster, sorry. Lord of Destruction is the name. I'm like, why did I say that? And it sounded like a lie. Lord of Destruction is the name of the expansion. I know how to talk. And it added a fifth act, and it added a bunch of amazing things that basically characterize what the game, like end game, and like what characters can be, and 2 whole classes, taking the total up to 7. And for 21 years, those were the classes in Diablo 2. 5 years ago, D2 got remastered in what is called Resurrected here, which is why it looks, you know, the way it does, and not much worse. Yes, So, my overall Diablo journey, I first played Diablo 1 from a demo, which you guys know what a demo is, a game demo. Back in the day, though, there would be, like, you know, downloading demos was a much more prevalent way of doing things. And there would be magazines with demo discs in them, so, like, for even, like, PlayStation and stuff, and Dreamcast was, like, the best ones, but, you know, you would go and get a gaming magazine and then get a few levels of some games or whatever, or on dial-up internet, if your family had AOL, you could go to what was called Keyword Ant. There weren't like websites you could go to. They were keywords that sent you to internal things. Anyway, I'm really showing my age here. That's fine. It's a story about time. And Keyword Ant had downloadable demos for PC games, which to me was the best thing in the whole universe, of course. The demo to Diablo 1 was like 50 megabytes, which doesn't sound like a lot now, but was absolutely immense. It took something like 12 or 13 hours to download, and when I downloaded it, I couldn't find it. Like, I didn't know, because I was a teenager, and this was our first, time with the internet. We had like a DOS machine and Windows 3.1. I had considered myself okay with computers, but like I didn't know where in the computer to get it. So I just thought it wasn't there, and I downloaded it again because I couldn't figure out how to locate the file. And but anyway, that's how I first played Diablo 1. And then D2 came out, and my family's computer couldn't quite run it whenever it released, but then we upgraded and we could, and I got totally obsessed. But I couldn't really play online that much because we had like the crummy dial-up internet, not the good dial-up internet. So I would usually play offline, like hardcore at home, and then like online whenever I was at my friends' houses and stuff. But it's just the coolest game. I've always loved stuff like this, I love magic and swords and bows and arrows, like that's just the makings of a good video game in my opinion. And Diablo had the way that the loot works, right, is that every mob has a chance to drop a very wide range of things, and then they have a chance for the quality of those things to be higher, depending on who they are and what the difficulty is and all of that kind of thing. So you can just run like the same boss over and over and over and get dozens, hundreds of different items, many of which will be terrible, but some of which will be exactly what you wanted. And so the ability to just like engage in repetition and get rewarded for it in unexpected ways would just absolutely hit every single part of what makes me want to play a game. Because I like a game where you can play it like forever. I also like a game that knows when to quit. I'm hard to please. If I played Baldur's Gate, I did not play 1. I played 2 a little bit with a friend, but not extensively. Like, I don't really know the names of the characters, even. And I played Baldur's Gate 3 for, like 270 hours, something like that. Really only scratched the surface. I actually want to stream it at some point and do, like, a really, really, like a really slow walk where we just talk about every single thing in every single shot. Like, if you've ever been to, like, a film festival where they'll like, be showing a film, like, shot by shot on the screen and just, like, stopping and talking about individual things. Like, I want to do that. I was very impressed with Baldur's Gate. Yeah, well, I played through a couple of times myself, and then I played a couple times with my friends in multiplayer, which is both a lot of fun and incredibly frustrating to me because one of my friends, good friend, he's a good friend. He won't read. He won't listen. Okay, we'll be like deep in a very emotional, important quest line that we've been working for like 2 hours, and he will legit, I'll see his little push to talk on Discord light up, and he'll be like, "What's this guy's deal?" And I'm like, "They burned his village, this and that, blah, 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 blah." And I'm like, he's like, "So are we gonna hit him?" I'm like, "No." I mean, it is funny, but to me, a guy who's just like so enamored with the story. I'm like really getting into it, and then that was like the one D&D game I ever played, right? We're gonna move all these to inventory just to get some more mana. But yeah, yeah, skips the scene. But yeah, no, Baldur's Gate 3 came out when I was playing Persona 5 Royal, which one of my good friends had given to me as a gift. And I was super into that. And so I knew I wanted to play it, but I didn't play it like immediately. It must have been like after a week or two, maybe. And then I played it, and then I did this great thing that I sometimes do, which is where I get a game and then I go to my boss and I'm like, look, I'm gonna need a few days off next week. He's like, is everything all right? I'm like, yeah, I want to play this game. I want to play it a lot. I don't want to come in here. So, you know, I'll like work the weekend or whatever, and then take a couple of days off, you know, on whenever they can work it into the schedule so that I can play more of the game, which I definitely did for Baldur's Gate, and I regret nothing. But, you know, everyone enjoys games in a different way. It's just the way I enjoy them is, you know, learning about the mechanics and thinking about what I'm going to do and, you know, experiencing the story and the characters. So it's always jarring to me when people, you know, just don't care about that really. They're like, oh yeah, no, let's hit them. I'm like, but you don't care that everything that they just said was nonsense? They're like, no, I mean, we're just going to go fight the bad guy, right? I'm like, but are they bad? Like, are we not going to ask any of these awesome questions about whether or not they're bad? The kind of person that would play Nine Souls like it and then, like, not have an opinion about anything at the end. You know, you don't want to say someone's playing a game wrong. I play games wrong all the time. Is this Unreal Engine 5? I don't know. The remaster came out in 2021, which memory serves could have been around like that. Like, and there's that little kid. What was his deal? I mean, somewhere out there is a person who plays Hollow Knight and, like, doesn't know who Sherma is. Not really. They're like, oh, that little dude? Whatever. Although that makes me so mad to even think about. And we lay an absolutely sick fireball down. Oh yeah, look at that. Boom, baby. The frames on that cast are good. I only have a little bit of fast cast, and there's no way that it gets me to, like, too many breakpoints at this point. Like 12? That's not bad. It's not, alright. That makes sense too, because Blizzard, you know, because, you know, they often do their own thing. I don't know too much about the production of this game. The one thing I wish they had done was, like, fake the age a little more, you know, just for this. Because in regular Resurrected, you can just hit a button. And go back to the old graphics, but now with this stuff, there's not that option anymore. Which makes sense from, like, a design perspective. Why are you gonna make something and then figure out how to make it look bad? but it was still a fun thing to do every time you would think you remembered what it looked like. Old book, don't mind if I do. Garbage. Old books are our class-specific item, and so they're new, right? There wasn't an item ever called Old Book or Tome or whatever, not as such. The only, like, certain quest items in certain places. So the other day, yesterday, whenever the Old Book dropped, I, like, was taken quite aback. I was like, Old Book? What? If I played Ultra Kill, I have not. It's like a 3D rendering program running on top of the old logic. That makes sense. Because, like, I was thinking when you asked it, I'm like, I don't know, but I just feel like not because playing it feels precisely like playing the old game. It doesn't... It's... Look, I know Diablo 2. And if they had made, you know, the orb work a little different, or, like, I would be able to tell. And one of the things that I was so impressed with the remaster was how absolutely faithful absolutely everything was to the behavior of the original. Which makes sense if they just, like, layered a cosmetic on top of it. It makes a lot of sense. Old book culture shock, yeah. Alright, we need to lay down the heat here. Oh, we're in trouble. This is a bad hallway. We're just gonna go here. The Fire Nova has knockback, which is amazing, which lets us get in there, be aggressive, be aggressive, shut it down. Hollow 1, so the reason I said that was a bad hallway, so we had Decayed, which are very high HP mobs, or moderately high HP mobs, and a whole bunch of them. They do a little poison explosion when they die. Not that big a deal. Really not that important. But these guys at the back, these remnants, they resurrect guys. These are minions. One of them was a unique. So basically, being minions, they'll be tougher and stronger. They'll still get raised from the dead because of those guys. And there were 4 in the hallway. So a very, very bad hallway. We need to go back to town real quick. I have been drinking these mana pots like there will never be a tomorrow. And indeed, without as many mana potions, there may not have been. Alright, do we want to... I mean, 4 crit for a point is fine. You know, I guess, even though it doesn't fit into my fantasy, we're gonna take another Ring of Fire level. It makes it twice as strong. It's gonna increase the mana cost a bunch, which is annoying, but you know, it's okay. And of course, due to like being a gentleman, I don't believe at all in taking energy points. You don't do it. Don't let anybody tell you to do that. No, the tome is just a way to focus. The Warlock in, you know, it's very much like what I would consider the classical Warlock, where, you know, they make pacts with demons. They have a weapon that they control around with eldritch means, and they also cast some nasty magic at you. You know, very, very D&D Warlock from what I know about them. You know. For what I know about him from playing Baldur's Gate. But the tome, the weapon floats no matter what. And you could even have a one-handed weapon floating, but you wouldn't want to. I didn't know you could have a two-handed weapon. I accidentally clicked whenever I was trying to sell a two-hander, and it went on. That was a fun thing, too. So basically, two-handers, as you would expect, do dramatically more damage than one-handed weapons. And so this lets you have the book. The book is also a shield, and it gives skill points, depending. We forgot to buy mana pots. It gives skill points. To skills for your class. Every class has a special... X fills that up. Every class has a special item. A lot of them are weapons, but some of them are like helmets. Like barbarians and druids have helmets that they wear. Assassins have claws. Amazons have specific javelins. Warlocks have the book. Necromancers have a little shrunken head they carry. In my opinion, weapon-based ones tend to be better for the classes because often those other slots have uniques that you really want, but it just depends. There are unique items in this game that dramatically change the way that builds behave. You know, what could be considered to be good. You know, you can get a set that will, like, make something that was a real stinker into something great. And that's what, you know, that's what Diablo's all about. Doing the same thing over and over and over until you get a random drop that lets you see the whole world in a different light. Yeah, that level 2 Nova is good. But we cast, like, hexes on the weapon. This one you can't really see because it looks like the base one. This other one, which we'll try for a bit, is all a little greener. This one, like, hits them, and then it's got a chance to cast, like, an explosion on them, which could be good. But the thing is it lowers, like, your attack rating, or rather, the other one raises it, so this one functionally has it lowered. And so, depending on who you're trying to fight, they'll just, like, you know, not get hit by you. We've got... So each class has 3 trees, and ours are Eldritch for the weapon. You know, Chaos, I think it is. Yeah, for the magic. And then, you know, Demonology for the demons. I don't know if that's the name of it. It should be, though. This Nova is amazing. The knockback is super good because it interrupts. I actually think this knockback is kind of bonkers. There is definitely going to be a good build based around this. I don't know if you can get a lot of damage for it, but it's very strong. The crowd control that this character provides is really wonderful. It's rare to get so much in a punchy thing that's not like, you know, there's snares and frost and stuff, but this guy gets to do it while, you know, having a summon. So you're gonna try the Yakuza. You'll have to let me know how it goes. I have several of them. I've never played a single one, but I own a few because my Steam library is very fancy. We're gonna pop in here. Oh yeah, that's man, Nova's so good. That's crazy. That's a hard enemy pack there, and we just deleted them and they didn't get to do anything. And we get the cube. Now, Halls of the Dead you don't have to go to ever again because the cube is an item you don't lose. The Herodric cube is like the magic box of D2. And we're going to go up to Cain and he's going to say, "You have quite a treasure there in that Herodric cube."
You have quite a treasure there in that Herodric cube. According to
See, I told you he was going to say it.
the cube can restore the Herodric. Not in town. Not in town.
So you can keep the cube in your inventory for extra space. I'm keep it in the stash guy. If we do here, oh yeah, so These pages, you'll probably see me like look at these pages and cry sometimes. They're so beautiful. Y'all don't. You just don't. You don't know, and you can never know how much. Like, I wouldn't have even dreamed that they would have done this. It's just so beautiful. So the reason I'm freaking out is that is an organization and stacking system for some of the most common and most desirable things in the game. How the game used to work is you had to, I don't even know how high they stack, hopefully like 2,000, but even if we just get like 255, that'd be alright. How the game used to work is they didn't stack at all, ever. So if I wanted to have 40 chipped rubies, it took an entire inventory on an alt. And you actually need a ton of gems depending on what you're doing for a living in this game. So you can use them for stuff, you can sell them to people for stuff, although I imagine their market value will go tremendously down now that they will be more easily able to hold on to, but that is the breaks. Whoops. Skill shrine, sweet. These are the itchies. They drain stamina. They're super annoying. They don't have that high of hit points. They're not so bad depending on your class. They can be very, very obnoxious, though. They drain stamina. So, depending on whether or not you are a responsible fellow who carries stamina potions, they mean a lot or nothing. But if they get around and you don't notice them, then, you know, your ability to run away from a fight is your ability to live in Diablo 2. There are some characters that can stand up and brawl, but basically everybody wants to run away. Oh, that's the good stuff there. Glorious. I'm not even a Fire Nova kind of guy. I thought we were going to care more about the summons, but this Nova's sweet. This is a great class. It makes sense that they would want to make it good, you know. They took their sweet time coming out with it. Almost eaten a death there out of old Beetle Burst. Double axe. Oh, that's one-handed garbage. Look like a storm mosquitoes. Charles are very, very annoying. Dude, yes. Yes, they are. And I believe you live in a place where you actually know where I'm coming from when it comes to mosquitoes. So plenty of people will complain about them. Look, I grew up with no houses between my house and the bayou, alright? We had mosquitoes out there that would eat you. Like, my uncle went to Nam, and he said that our mosquitoes were worse. And I believe him. A bayou, if you don't know, is a specific type of swamp in the southern central United States. Usually associated with Louisiana, but also present in some other states, like my home state of Arkansas. It's like... where I grew up is actually, like, crazy. I'm not gonna, like, talk about exactly where it is, but just... Like... I went to town in a place that's like, you know, suburban by Arkansas standards, so not a ton of people, but, you know, the largest employer in town is the school type of thing. And then 10 minutes down the road is my house, and then 1 minute down the road from that is just the bayou. Like, if you took a canoe into the middle of it and then someone took your canoe, you would never, ever, ever get out. Also, don't take a canoe into the bayou. You'll get lost. You gotta layer up to protect him. Yikes. Yep. And like, so I'd have to get up in the morning to milk my goat, right? And then, you know, you're just getting eaten alive. And your goat has, like, all these mosquitoes all over him. And, you know, oh man, I hate mosquitoes. They're like the core of one of my jokes where I say that you shouldn't give me any power because I would destroy the world. Because I would just get rid of the mosquitoes. And be like, oh, were they important for the existence of everything? That's too bad. Shame. I hate mosquitoes. We're going backwards. That's where we want to go. Oh, you live in Kerala. I knew you lived, like, over there. Well, I mean, that's cool. I know a good chunk of people from there. I would say probably, like, a third of the Indian people I know are from Kerala. But I know a lot of Indian people. My, this person that I used to date a long time ago, her family was originally from Kerala. Or rather, her parents, you know, were from there, and they immigrated here, and she was born here, but they were both from round there. Her father was a professor of organic chemistry, and he never spoke to me. They find it funny to just call you and say, oh, it's the worst. And you're like, oh. Alright, do we have time for this? I'm gonna say no. We're just gonna try to find the waypoint. Because I need to get a shower. And let the old puppy out. My brother and I, we got a puppy, so that is very nice. You know, we got him from the shelter just a couple of days ago. He's a very handsome little boy. But, you know, being young requires more attention and maintenance through the day, so definitely want to. Say people from Kerala like to immigrate or work overseas. Your dad used to work in Kuwait. Okay, cool. For a few years there, because of my relationship and stuff, like a big part of like my social circle with my friends and stuff was a bunch of Indian folks. So mostly Indian American, but a few people from India itself, right? But Zoom, zoom, zoom. But, you know, it's sort of like 50-50 between whether or not their family was, like, the only one in their family that was here, or, like, a whole bunch of people had, you know, already been here before or whatnot. Because my ex's, her dad, I think he was, like, you know, the first one in their family to come over here. And he, like, went to... like Wisconsin or something for graduate, like, which is like, it's so, the idea, like, I know, you know, you go where you can, but like, to me, if you live in a place like Kerala and then you go to like this cold, it snows there, it's icy, it's cold in Wisconsin, it's cold place, like, it blows my mind. Like, I wouldn't be able to adjust. I mean, it gets cold in Arkansas sometimes, but mainly it gets hot. So you just want to live somewhere 27 degrees cooler than where you get here? 27 Fahrenheit, I assume. And if so, thank you so much for using a scale that I can understand. No, you know, I took chem in college. You know, chemistry was my minor. I didn't finish, but it was going to be my minor, I should say. So, like, I know how to use Celsius, and I know it's good, but I just can't think in it, you know? Like, I wanted to swap over to think in Celsius whenever I, we need to get the Lost City waypoint. Whenever I started learning to bake at home, but, you know, the knob on the oven is just in Fahrenheit, so... But, I mean, it's super easy to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit, of course. All you have to do is double it and then subtract, what, 20%? And then you're there. I think. Or do you double it, add 20? All I know is how to generate 0 and 100 with the scale. And I could recreate it if I felt like it, but... in principle, I never ever know how much metric stuff goes to how much imperial units. How many knots to a kilometer, for example. That one's a trick question. They don't use kilometers at sea because knots are better. And nautical miles and stuff. They're so much better. I don't know if y'all know about all that, but it's like objectively, there's a reason why the metric system doesn't work on water, and it's super interesting. All right, double it, minus 20%, then add 32. Yeah. So like 50 Celsius is 112 Fahrenheit. I'm like, why did I forget the 32? I mean, 9/5, yeah, but I find usually that doubling it and then dropping 20% is much quicker for mental math purposes. Although everyone's got their own way to do arithmetic, right? And it got all dark here. That's the thing that happens when we walk into the old abandoned city. Whoops. right. Man, I want to just eat a honey bun, call into work, and keep playing this, but that won't do. First of all, they'll know I'm doing this. And second of all, it's not proper. Okay, it's 3 life per vitality on this guy, too? Crazy. We took a couple energy points just to see. It's just 2. I think it's always 2. Energy points are bad. Don't ever take energy points. This year, you expect it to go up to at least 38. I expect it to be... Oh... I think we'll probably hit 50 Celsius here where I'm from this year. It usually... It gets real hot, man. It gets real hot in Arkansas. But anyway, I am having the best time, and that is why I have to do this now. Oh, we can, I'll show you the old graphics real quick. This is what the game used to look like. Which is just wild that, you know, and this is, and then you can experience all the menus in their old glory too, I think, when you go to create new, you can. Yeah, here, toggle, yeah, here we go. So, like, this used to be, you would select it, and he goes, and then she does her little lightning thing. There was a time with this paladin doing that and going there, that was the coolest thing in the world to me. It's still pretty cool. And, you know, they still do their things, but, you know... But, you know, there's just a certain charm, you know, to the old way. I love this game. Anyway. The Barbarian. Yeah. You know, a lot of people love Barbarian. It's not a class that ever spoke to me. I like a class that tries not to get hit. But all right. That is all I've got for you right now. You know, when Resurrected came out, I got super into it, you know. I played a lot of it. I had a great time, and I loved it. But eventually, you know, there were no new worlds to conquer, right? So we hung up our Magic Find guy, and we hung up our beautiful Javazon, you know, and then quit playing the game. But now it's like a whole new world, a whole fantastic Warlock point of view, and say you like builds where you can't get hit because you suck not getting hit. I always felt like the tanky builds in this game weren't good enough at being tanky, but some people really love them. But anyway, maybe one day I'll make one. A lot of what I do is play hardcore. It goes to 99. Nobody gets to 99. I've never personally met somebody who's gotten to level 99. So when you die after a certain point, you lose a portion of your experience between one level and the next. Doesn't matter for a while. Later on, it gets crazy. I don't have the charts in front of me right now, but I think like going, you know, like basically, you know, it's one of those situations where going from 98 to 99 is as much experience as everything before. And, you know, at that point, if you ever die, then you'll lose probably hundreds of hours of experience grinding. But, I've been as high as level, like, 93, I think. I think I capped out at 93 before. But, yeah, You could find the charts online. I don't want to like lie about the exact proportions because I don't remember them off the top of my head, but it is a lot. But basically, when you get to like level 80 or so, that's as high as most characters will level. You got to run a lot of stuff to level up past that point. You cannot de-level from dying, no. And so the way that most world builds work is, you know, there's synergies between abilities and whatnot, but often by a certain point you've got all the stuff you need to get to do your thing. So another level might be 2% more damage or something, you know, and that's it. And, you know, 10 HP. Well, do you really care? But, you know, the end game is just really, there's some high challenge stuff, and I guess they added some more, which we'll eventually see, maybe. But, anyway, I'm going to keep on talking, and then I'm going to have time to do what I need to do. So, I really must end this now, but, man, how fun. I really wish tomorrow weren't Valentine's Day. There's no chance I'll get to go all home in the middle of the day and sneak an hour session in, but that's okay. A man can still dream. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Really hope you've enjoyed. It's a Warlock, guys. I know that doesn't mean as much to you as it means to me, but oh man, it's a Warlock. It's so cool. Love it. It's going to be really hard for me to focus at work because I'm going to be daydreaming about furiously swinging my Vulrge into the foe. But anyway, later, Kiara. Hope you get to feeling better soon. Later, Thomas. Good to see you. So it's such a cool thing, and I'm like, when I first saw it, I'm like, did they just make it float so they didn't have to do an animation? I'm like, no, it actually works super cool, you know. The telekinesis smash is very elegant and graceful. And then, of course, when he opens up with all the flame and stuff, it's a cool class. Really love it. And I feel like the trees work together pretty well, which is interesting. They don't always do that in this game. So, like the Amazon, they've got a passive tree, and then they've got a bow tree and a javelin tree. But no Amazon uses bow and javelin skills. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't work. I've never met anybody who's tried to make it work. It wouldn't work. You shouldn't try. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys. I swear I'm going to quit talking about this game, because the more I look at it, the more I'm just going to keep talking about it. And time slowly slips away. But it will wait for me for a little while longer. So, see you guys.